Yo! Video games.
This YoVideogames podcast Patreon anime review is brought to you by Miles Uncharted. Thank you, Miles, for providing us with today's and future updates to the series. So, alright guys, so here's what we're talking about here. I'm going to be doing a vlog, if you will, about watching an anime series. And when I say it's brought to you by Miles Uncharted, he's a producer. And he has also, not only is he a producer of the YoVideogames podcast, he is a producer of the content for which I'm reviewing, which is, obviously, Escaflowne, the TV series. Now, this is a redub. To my knowledge, this was a Kickstarter or some sort of GoFundMe, Patreon like thing, where they basically wanted to redub the Escaflowne TV anime series. I don't know what the issue was, because to my knowledge was that it was broadcast out of order on Fox Kids in the late 90s when I watched probably every episode, because I remember being like super enthralled by it. And I thought when Bandai was a much younger player in the game that they had finished dubbing it and releasing it on DVD, because I thought I remember seeing the DVDs around Anime Expo, but strangely enough, I never got around to watching the actual series. I literally only saw what was broadcast on Fox, which is funny enough is one of the discs on this package. I'm not going to be rewatching that because I'm sure it's terrible. But so this is a new, from what I understand, a completely new dub. It's actually very well done. Before I get into anything else, I just want to say they really did their damnedest to lip sync it perfectly. I know it probably sounds a little weird because isn't that your job? I mean, yeah, coming off of good old Xenoblade 2, which has the lip syncing of about a 1970s kung fu movie. This was kind of like shocking to see someone actually keep the dub and then keep it coherent and all that jazz. So, all that said, let's just talk about, I'm going to do this one episode at a time. So we're going to talk about episode 1 right now. First thing I want to get off was I was really impressed by the opening song. It's very cutesy, or not cutesy is the wrong word. It's very romantic, and it sets the tone really well, I guess. Because from what I can tell, like the main character going by episode 1 is the girl Hitomi, and not the guy Vaughn, who Fox Kids would lead you to believe was the main character. But I mean, the opening and ending imagery kind of makes Hitomi look like a bit of a hoe, because she's like kissing, I swear to God, like 3 different guys between the opening and ending animations. But so regardless of that, though, the idea is that it seems like a highly romantic fantasy is what I'm getting out of this, and the song is like perfect for it, and it's done by Yoko Kanno, and I was like, oh, okay, well that explains fucking everything. So this was done 96 from the copyright I can see, 2 years before the legendary Cowboy Bebop, same composer. So she's, I mean, so far pretty good here. I will say there was one track in the first episode. Now there were 2 composers on it, so I don't know who's who. I'll just assume that the track that was really bad in the episode was not done by her. So I'll just put that out there. But as far as the first episode goes, I almost wanted, like, I knew it was, I knew it was the right anime, because, it's still, again, it starred Hitomi, but I almost thought for the first half or so of this first episode, I almost was like, did you send me the wrong fucking, no, you couldn't have, because it was sealed. But, so it starts out with a high school track and field runner, who's super late, and, the nice thing about it is the character designs by Nobuteru Yuki, who I've had the pleasure of interviewing in the past. They're much stronger than current day anime, and I know you're gonna hear this a lot. I'm gonna be bashing current day anime because it's fucking one. It's the problem with anime right now is there's too many otaku in anime, and they have not spent enough time around real people, so that they don't have a really good idea or grasp on how real people move and talk and act. And Yeah, I'm quoting Miyazaki here. That's the actual real quote of Miyazaki, not anime is trash. It's nothing but a mistake. Um, yeah, I was just quoting me, but like it was refreshing to see a high school. I mean, the high school looks like every fucking. Though the interesting thing about it was the opening shot of the anime starts on a Dutch angle, which I thought was interesting because I feel like it thematically was intentional. Like the Dutch angle, the sort of like tilted, skewed reality, because it plays into the second half of the first episode. So it's like film language there. Like nobody gives a shit about Andrew, and he's not even going to be watching this. But it was refreshing to see high schoolers that looked, they look like real people. They look, I mean, in modern day anime standards, these people look like they're fucking 35. If we go by modern day anime standards, but here they just seem like high schoolers who are hit their growth spurts, but they're kind of lanky and they're not really all they're obviously not in their adult bodies yet, but they're not kids. And Hitomi skirts that line between cringy tropey anime schoolgirl type and like an actual real schoolgirl, because not like everyone's different, everyone's unique, but like Hitomi's obviously like a romantic. She has a big crush on like the super fast running guy. I forget his name now. It rhymed with Domino. I think it was Akihino. And she's got a big crush on him, and he's like the super fast one, and so he can run whatever meter distance under 11 seconds, and she can't even beat 13 yet. So the whole first half of the episode is literally kind of just high school life, slice of life. Which I was like, oh God, please, no. How long is this gonna go? But pretty quickly into it, when she's doing her practice, she's running down a course, and she sees like this weird vision of this armored soldier guy in the middle of the track, and then she passes out, and she has probably every boy's fantasy of like knights and dragons and like mechs and robots and towers exploding and the ground shaking and falling out beneath her. And it's like, and then of course she sees like beautiful anime angel boy coming to swooping down to rescue her. So that's more her thing. But she's terrified of all this, and as a boy, you just be sitting there going, boing, and you're like, what's that? But so she wakes up, hot in like the school, the school medical area, whatever, and like the guy she has a crush on is basically about to confess himself to her, and it's all kind of just like la-di-di, his and her circumstances, and your name, and yada yada, fucking like things I can't fucking stand. And some people may be like, well, and I think they do it pretty well here for something that I generally don't like. It feels more authentic and genuine. Maybe because the character designs help, maybe because the music's pretty good. Although there's surprisingly sparse music through the first episode, but whatever. But it just feels a little bit more genuine here, a little, because again they skirt that line. They don't cross it, but they really straddle that line between like cringy, tropey, and kind of realistic. Like you can kind of feel for them. She reveals that she has like a pendant that is such bullshit. She says when you hold it, it swings automatically back and forth like a pendulum in perfect synchronization, like second to second. Fucking gravity don't work that way. The other weird thing is like the very, very opening thing, along with the Dutch angle, is this weird kind of thing where she's obsessed with tarot cards. So she's kind of an oddball in that sense. And then like she reads tarot cards to see if she's gonna like fall in love at some point, and she gets these readings of a tower and a dragon of light. She doesn't know what that means. She thinks it means it's about her high school crush, because he's getting transferred to another school, so she thinks it's about separation from him because he's about to go away, blah blah blah. So before he goes away, they have this really funny cut because she got Sunset goes to him on the track field, gives him the pen and say, I want you to time me one last time. I want to beat 13 seconds, and then if I beat 13 seconds, I want you to give me my first kiss, which is like, okay, you're crossing the line, Hitomi. Like, and the guy just agrees to do it, because, I mean, sure, why the hell not? But the funny thing is after she asks him to do this at sunset, goes to commercial break, comes back, it is dead of fucking night. Like, the sun set real fucking fast there, or they just stood there and stared at each other blankly for at least a good half hour or an hour, which is probable. This is anime. But anyway, so goes tonight. She starts to run the race. You know, her crush is going to time her. She's going to beat it. And this is when the anime actually gets good. Because as she's doing this trying to beat this 13 seconds, you know, whatever, 100-meter dash or whatever it is, the guy, the armored, like, knight in her vision, all of a sudden just beams into her world. And they have this implication that she can understand what he's saying, but her two friends who do see him and know he's there, they can't understand his language, which is an odd dynamic, I guess, or at least that's what it seemed like. And then he tells them to all get out of the way. You know, there's a land dragon's coming, and this big portal opens up on one end of the track, and there's literally a monster hunter thing comes out. And this is actually where it's kind of cool, where this big, like, two-legged, like, wormy dragon thing, it comes out, it's more like a flying squirrel dragon thing. And it looks straight out of fucking Monster Hunter. Like, this is where Capcom got a bunch of inspiration. And Vaughn has, like, this big metal shield that, like, unfurls. And then he blocks, a fire blast with it. And then he has, like, this big giant crossbow. And he shoots the fucker in the eye. And it's like, okay, this is so Monster Hunter. And I'm like, nah, I'm just getting flashbacks, you know, of us playing the Monster Hunter World beta. And Max's fucking boss rage is going. You know, and they all, like, the four of them all start bailing. They run up this shrine, this Japanese shrine, to get away from the dragon. But the dragon's kind of cool because it, like, hops on the little, like, shrine gates and is running on top and chasing them. And Vaughn gets in, like, this, you know, tries to fight it off. And then the weird thing is, there's foreshadowing. Hitomi has, like, this weird vision, like Shulk and Xenoblade, where she sees, I can see the future. And she sees Vaughn getting stabbed by the dragon's tail, so she runs to tell him, hey, look out, and loses his armor, and that's when you see him gain his clothes, which we see here. Which I'm going to assume is probably going to be the whole fucking anime. He's just going to be wearing this, like, this little, like, flimsy red shirt. Because much like a Marvel superhero or Kylo Widelow Ren, he's gonna definitely need to be shirtless. He's already shirtless in the opening, so it's gonna happen. It's gonna fucking happen. But so she warns him, he gets out of the way, and then he fucking, like, stabs straight down the taint of this dragon, and that'd pretty much do me in. I think it would do most people, and then he just guts it in the heart and kills the fucking monster hunter. You know, prey slaughtered, quest completed. And then he rips the fucking heart out, and the heart's like this big glowing stone thing. And, you know, they're all kind of confused. At one point, Vaughn and her get in a fight because Vaughn's kind of just like this jackass, and she slaps him, and then, boom, they get beamed up. And, the other two friends, her best friend and her high school crush, are like, no, and she beams away. And this is why I like to get goods, because this actually is oddly nostalgic for me, because she gets beamed to this other world, like another planet, and she sees Earth and the moon in the night sky, although the geographical size of the moon is really fucking off. Whatever. And she's like, what the heck? Like, Vaughn knows where they are immediately, but she has no clue. And then all of a sudden they're surrounded by all these, like, fucking werewolves around in this field. And I'm like, this is nostalgic for me, because this is the kind of shit I ate up as a kid. Like, I love the idea of these high fantasy world concepts. I love the idea, kind of like this interesting thing where, like, a portal opens and then someone gets sucked into it, and then you don't know how you got there, you don't know how to get back, and the unknown, but not like overly bizarre unknown, like, you know, it's fine too in its own sense. But I just love the idea of having this sort of parallel world thing going on, and, like, this portal between universes or dimensions or whatever it ends up being. And she says, like, she came to know the planet was called Gaia, which is like, hey, we're in a JRPG. But yeah, the first, as far as, like, a first episode goes, it's okay until the second half of this, or the last half of the second part, or rather the last quarter, I should say, to make it simple. The last quarter of this episode's really good. The first 3 quarters are a little kind of stock generic. Like, if you just watched the first commercial break, you would never have fucking, I mean, you'd be like, you never have known what you were going to get into. But, like, if you saw the opening song, which again is really good, and the animation's really nice, so there's a part in the animation where you see these 2 fucking, like, medieval robots fighting, and it's, like, animated on the ones. And if you know what that is, congratulations. If you don't know, most animation is animated on 2s, which means that it's like the same 2 frames for every second of animation. Most animation is like 24 frames a second. It's animated on twos, which means you draw 12 frames, 12 different frames for a motion, right? So it's basically like you double up. So when you say animate on ones, that means you are drawing one frame at a time that's different for 24 frames. Like you're drawing 24 unique frames a second for animation. And what that means is that's when stuff looks really, 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 really smooth. And if you watch the intro on Google or on YouTube and you see the part where the two like robots are fighting and it all looks really smooth, that's animating on ones. And most of the show is going to be obviously animated on twos, which most animate, and then that doesn't have anything to do with in betweens too. But in betweens are more broad, definite. And obviously there's a lack of in betweens because it's a '90s anime, which isn't really that bad. It's only kind of bad when Hitomi's running down the steps at the very beginning to her track meet, and it's kind of like, okay, well, we skipped out on here. But if I was going to skip out on anything in the animation, yeah, her running to a track meet, I don't give a fuck. But I'm intrigued by what I'm seeing. That last fourth was excellent. The first three fourths were a little rough, but Hitomi's off of Earth. She's in a fantasy setting. Can only go uphill from here. And the ending song is like this crazy like J-rock pop, like almost completely out of place. And a lot of animes had this problem where, obviously not Cowboy Bebop, but either their opening might have been good, but it felt completely different tonally from the rest of the series, or the ending song felt completely tonally different, or maybe it fit one episode, or maybe the very, very end, but not the rest of the series. Oh boy. And I know the ending theme was not done by Yoko Kanno. It was done by someone else, and it is just kind of like, it's 80s as fuck. But anyways, I am looking forward to episode 2. This episode of Marvel is a little bit longer than most of them are going to be, because hey, it's the first one. You gotta know what you're getting into. But again, thank you to Miles for producing this series and this anime for you guys to watch, and I hope you're looking forward to the next episode. Later, dudes.